Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be doing another tower guide, and today I'm doing a tower that was suggested to me actually. So we will be doing the Tower of Bloodthirsty Kenos, which is an extreme in Ring 9 obviously. And yeah, so I feel really comfortable with this. This was my first extreme tower, and I feel really comfortable with it, so let's just get into it. I feel like I'm able to give decent strategies for this tower. So basically this first floor, you hold W and A, just like that. Make sure you just hold space across this, just a 3-stud stick out. And then basically, the first floor is basically just do what I do on my keyboard. Oh yeah, so this jump, you don't want to go at it like an angle, because then you'll hit your head like this. You're going to want to go like straight out and then turn in at the last second. And then turn off and like jump out for that. Oh, when you turn out of this, you might want to go down a tiny bit, but don't go down too far, you'll walk off. And you can just jump out. I like to do that in first person. There's a lot of ways to do this. You can either do it like a 2-star climb up, which is how I do it. Or you can basically go into climbing animation on this thing, if I can get it. And like shift lock like that to also get up. That also works. And then for that jump, just do the exact same thing as you did for that truss. Just jump straight and turn at the last second. These parts you can just jump through. Yeah, just head hitter up to this. You can do it from there if you want. And then jump onto the ice when it's like, when it's here, jump onto it. Like that. And it's much easier to just walk off into this, because if you jump, there's a chance you might bounce, and it's quite inconsistent to jump onto this. So just walking onto it is much more consistent if you just like do that. For this part, I like to go down so that I'm about here and then I just jump off, and that's fine. If you are climbing like this, it doesn't matter. You can just do it like a normal head hitter. Just don't, obviously if you're climbing, don't just press space or you'll jump off. Like press S first. This part, I like to line myself up with that, so I've kind of got like the angle here, and I just go out and do the same thing again, where I just jump out and go. There's a lot of those jumps on the first few floors. This tower basically is consistency for the first few floors, and then you start getting far on the second half of the tower. Okay, for this part, you can either do what I did there, which is hold D at the bottom and then like start holding W at the end, but that can be quite inconsistent. So if you have heli, I highly recommend you use it here. So you can hold heli at the end and then kind of wedge yourself in like that. So don't hold heli here, otherwise you'll fall off the ice probably. But if you like hold heli at the end there, it's just much more consistent to like get yourself in. And that's basically that part. Make sure you don't like undershoot or overshoot that. This is quite like a precise jump. Stick to the edge here and you can just bounce out like that. And then for this truss, you can either like walk around with the ball and then stop here and jump off towards like the middle, or you can obviously just flick around. Okay, if I can, yeah, flicking around it also works, but it's much easier to just use the ball in my opinion, because if you're flicking around it, you're gonna be fighting against the ball, and it's just like, you know. But yeah, you're gonna want to maybe T-pose as well, so that you don't like. If you're like too far into the truss for some reason, you can T-pose to like go out a bit. And then around here is where you can jump. You just jump and shift, and that's fine. Be careful of the wedge here. Just make sure you are aware that you're going to get caught there. These are just some long wrap stick out things. Make sure you go like follow the cylinder into this. It's much easier to just do it like that. And then kind of jump with D and start holding W at the end so that you like kind of climb onto it. And then this part is where most people kind of choke in the first half. You can kind of go in a first person like that and flick off like that, or you can just hold W and flick off. It doesn't really matter. For this truss, you just hold W and D and turn the camera. This is literally just, if you are on the truss, you hold W, D and flick, and you just turn the camera in and you'll make it. You can also, I believe if you fail this, if you fall to like, let me try and fail this. If I fall into here, I think you can like high jump up to this part of the truss, and then just jump off like that. But yeah. Yeah, turn into the sphere once again, just turn in. then shift lock out. And then for this part, you're going to want to go into climbing animation where the indicated bit is, and just jump off like that. And for the low jump section, you're just going to want to delay your jumps as much as possible, so that you kind of make it. I like to, you can either like normally ladder jump off of this, or you can flick, which is what I do. I find flicking much easier for that part. But yeah, heli is highly recommend for this tower. You can just go under it like this, or if you're doing it legitimately without items, you can just like go further under. But it's like, you know, why would you not use heli there? Just climb onto this, just hold space and kind of follow what I'm doing there. And for this ball jump, this is where most people kind of fall. You can kind of, like, if you go out to, like, here, you can kind of jump into it like that. I see people try to do it like this, like, from this angle, but sometimes you just, like, get caught on the roof and like that. And it's, like, not really. I like to go out further to, like, here and just jump and go for it. And then for this part, so this is the last really bad part of the tower, I guess. I kind of, like, I'm pushed up against it, right? So I'm pushed up against the wall, and then I just, like, hold W and A and I walk in. You can do this jump either by climbing on it, which I do, and you climb on, like, the corner like this and shift lock off. Or you can do what, like, could also work, which is just walk onto it, but that feels way more inconsistent for me. So just just find out whatever works best for you. You can either walk onto it or just, like, I mean, I'm not going to be able to get the walk because, like, I'm not good at it, but, like, whichever one works better for you, just do that, I guess. Yeah, there we go, that's it. And then you just jump up here. And now for this jump, you either... what I do is I jump and then kind of just aim for this middle section and just face directly forwards. Because if you try to tilt into this, most of the time it's not going to work. So I like to just go from, like, here and kind of, like, aim for the middle bit, and I kind of always slot in. If you do want to turn into it, though, just turn really late. You basically want to, like, go down to, like, here and then just turn really late into it. That also works. But luckily, there is a recovery skip for this part. So, once again, on this part, you can go into first person. I mean, you don't need to do it in first person, but if you hold S, like, as you're jumping, and then, like, jump towards the thing, you can kind of do, like, a high jump. And that skips the no jump section, the last one on 4, which is a really nice recovery skip, and I highly recommend you use it. For this part, it's basically follow the patterns, don't... Basically, if you get a bad cycle and you're waiting for that, just wait another cycle. Like, if you get this, don't try and go for this one initially, because you're just gonna, like, not be able to make it. It's just better to wait. This ball, I just like to do this slowly in first person. Just treat it like a ladder, but, like... The good thing about 5 is that there's a lot of recovery. You can just jump off and shift lock and you'll make it into there. That's fine. Jump from this lower ball, tilt out like that. That's much better for me. If you just, yeah, like that. And then for this, you just want to treat this like a normal long jump and just start holding W at the end. Like that. And then this one, you can either go under with heli, which I recommend you do because this one can ragdoll you sometimes. Or you can do what is intended and go into, like, the corner and kind of turn into it like that. But yeah, you see I just got ragdolled there. So it's not the most consistent. But if you don't have heli and you can't get heli, that's kind of what you do for that part. Tab W and D if you don't fit into that properly. And then for this part, kind of let yourself slide down all the way to the bottom. So if I jump, I'm sliding, and then this is a good place. So after the third one, I jump, so it's 1, 2, 3, and then I jump when it's on the third one. And then you can basically turn into this, and I go down by 2 and jump off while holding W. And this is just a tight wrap. You hit your head, just, like, turn quickly and jump out for this one. Don't, like, jump directly forward or you're gonna hit your head. Jump, like, out a bit like that, and you'll be good. And more items for Bloodthirsty Kenos, obviously. EToH is good for this part because you can hit the button. Basically, no matter what you're doing, the key is just turn later than you think you would. So, even without... I don't even know if I can do it without T-pose. I don't think I've ever done it without T-pose. But, like, you kind of just, like... God, that is really hard. You can you can do it like that. You can do it like a long jump if you're doing it without T-pose. Like, set it up like that. And you can kind of get it. But if you're doing it with T-pose, it's much easier. You can just, like, Oh yeah, also with T-pose, say I miss it like that, I can hit it with my back arm as well, which is really nice. I don't know if I'll be able to get it, but like, it's nice with T-pose because it gives you much more lenience. You just hit it like that, and yeah, like that. That was it. That was it. That was it. Okay, so going for this one, just face backwards and hold space and D and go around. And then you kind of want to push yourself off slowly until you fall into this bit. And then do a couple of head hitters. Don't jump straight on these, obviously, because it's a wedge. You'll jump off. Jump up. Treat this like that. That's probably the best way to do it, where you like tilt out and jump out like this. Don't try to climb. I wouldn't recommend trying to climb onto it because chances are you're going to hit your head like that if you go for like... I mean, that also works, but I find it much more consistent to tilt out like this and just go in like this. And then for this one, the bottom platform disappears and you've just got to do a head hitter up to the top one. So it's just wait and then go. It's not that tight. You just start waiting for them both to start falling and then you jump. So these are ouch bricks. Just be careful of that. You can just hold W and it'll lift you up onto that with that. And then this is floor 7, so we jump onto the ice, and it probably face sideways for this. Don't touch the normal... I mean, the only time I'd recommend touching... Oh yeah, do this facing this way, or you will... Hold on, let me demonstrate what happens if you do it the other way. This bit's fine to do whatever you want, but if you do it facing this way, you can kind of like climb onto... Like, I'm like climbing onto it and getting pushed out, so do it facing this way. And then you kind of want to touch this stud and hold A so that it like pushes you to the edge. And then you can just do this like the jumps from floor 1 where you tilt out and jump in at the last second. And then for this part, it's just some truss flicks. You can do it from there or there. Either one works. And this truss, I'd recommend T-posing before... Or you can T-pose or hold space to not get dropped by this bottom bit, which, let me demonstrate. If I jump onto it like this and I go down... Sometimes the bottom bit will drop me off like that. So you can use T-pose to stop that from happening or go to the top. Make sure you're like actually in it. Don't do like what I'm doing and then hold space like this and then you won't be dropped off at the end. For this, I haven't really got a specific lineup, but I kind of go from this. I kind of line my head up with this and then I just start jumping and I usually make it. That's kind of the best alignment that I found, where I line my head up with the top of the bottom of that stud and just start going for it. Yeah, that's basically that jump. It's kind of annoying. For this one, you can just completely skip this. You can just jump straight to here, and I recommend that you do. Because otherwise you have to do this weird jump where you fit in, and then, like, without pushing yourself out, get to this part. Which is quite hard unless you do, like, a walk around like that. So, I'd recommend just jumping from here to here. It's much easier. And then you can... like jump out tilting a bit to this and trying to climb on like this kind of part. This is the same as the one on 6, except you have to jump off of the truss and hit the button. I like to use shift lock. You can also use T-pose. If you are using T-pose though, don't flick off normally like this. Only flick off with T-pose, otherwise there's a chance it'll drop you. Otherwise you're just good to shift lock like that and jump off. For this part, approach it like this, and then just hold W at the end, and then approach, and then aim for like this bottom bit so that you can fit on, you can jump up. And we're on floor 8, so you're going to want to follow this route for floor 8, and you can just walk off onto this. And this jump, you basically go down, so that you can do this a few ways. I'll show you the ones that I know. You can climb onto... You can get into climbing animation like this and then shift and do that. Which is not what I use, but it... Because I don't trust the climb on this. So like that. But that does work. You can do that. I just like to, like, go out like this and then jump like that when I think I'm ready. Just do it... Treat this like a long jump and just hold W at the end. So that you can climb up onto it. Like that, and then these walkarounds are just like, they're tilted, so if you fail them, if you fail these walkarounds, you'll fall back down to here, so just like go down or like use heli or whatever to get back. That part's fine. Just walk around onto this. Just don't hold W and D for this, just hold D and you'll be fine. This part, you can do it like that. so that you, like on like the middle, you can do it like that if you look at my overlay, so that you like high jump it and get up. Or you can just do it the normal way, which is just like starting a bit further up, holding S for a bit longer and jumping, and you'll get it. And then for this, just don't rush this. Just hold W and A. Just don't rush, and you'll be fine. And I see people complaining about this jump a lot, but you can do it from this side or this side. It's basically, you just like... So the best way I can describe how I do this is that I start by holding A, and then I just switch to W in midair, while kind of turning my camera quickly. It's kind of... I see people complaining about this, but I've never really had a problem with it, so I guess I'm just doing something right. I don't know. You can flick off of this normally, just don't flick with W, or you, like, won't flick. Just flick with A, and you'll be good. Okay, welcome to 9. This is where it starts getting particularly hard. So, for this part, you kind of want to go out a bit like this, and then you can just hold S and shift block. I went out too far there, is what happened. So you can, like, go out like this, and then just hold S and shift lock. They re-added a corner flip spot on this truss, so you can just flip through this now. I recommend you do, it's really good. And then for this part, you can do what I do, which is jump straight to this ladder, and then jump straight to... Hold on, let me get this. So you jump straight to this ladder, and then jump straight to this, which is a skip. Or you can do it the intended way. Or if you don't feel comfortable jumping to the ladder, you can... like, you can jump onto this and then, like, turn out like that, but I find that way less consistent than just jumping onto the ladder. Or you can jump to the other side and do it the intended way, which I don't really recommend you do, but you can if you want. You basically just flick onto this, and then kind of... It's kind of a weird jump. You kind of, like, jump... like this. If you look at my overlay, I'm just holding W and D, and then, like, at the very edge, and just jumping. And that seems to work, but I don't know. I just prefer the other strat more. Head hitter up onto the ball. Skip this part. Just jump straight to here. It's much easier, in my opinion. And then you can walk down like this. You can just do a 180 turn. I didn't touch anything to just go into climbing animation and just jump off. And then face away from the truss so that you don't climb it. And then you can shift lock to go up. And then for this part, this is the morpher section. So you basically... I like to stay here and, like, leave it a second. I like to just wait. And then when it comes back, you can hit the morpher, jump on. And then you can heli here to completely skip that. Or if you're not using heli, you can hit the morpher. And then kind of just go down as much as possible. That's fine. But it's just much better to do heli, in my opinion. This jump is kind of weird because so it kind of wants you to jump like this and just do it like a normal stick out like that. But because of the fact it's on a cylinder, I find that much more inconsistent. I just like to go down to the corner here. I just like to get down to the... I mean, don't interact with that stat or it might, like, push you off. I just like to go down to the corner and just, like, jump off like that. I find that much better. I mean, either way works, but just experiment and see what you prefer. I prefer this method. This part is just hold W... hold W while tapping D and just, like, turn in. Is basically the best way I can describe this. That's basically how I do it. And for this part, because it's on a ball and you can sink into it like this, just make sure that you're not... Make sure that you don't sink into it kind of by going into this corner. You can just hold A and then just jump normally. But kind of, like, expect it to, like, take your jump sometimes like that. So just be ready to, like, recover from that. And then just do, like, a flick up of that. And floor 10, I do this jump in first person by aligning with the center of this stud and just jumping around. And for the infamous floor 10 jump, you can either jump onto it in third person, which I highly recommend you do, flick around it, hold A and jump off. I'll do that again. So basically, you can land on the exact angle like that in third person, and I find that much easier. I wouldn't recommend doing this in first person. I find it much more inconsistent in terms of, like, setting it up. So you basically just jump onto the... It's this corner of the truss you want to get to. And then you start at the bottom, hold A, press space, and then turn in. Or you can jump onto it from here and kind of flick around. Just whichever way you can get to work. For this jump, just start by holding A and then switch to W once you're in midair. I guess you could you... Yeah, you could also I don't know how consistent it is, but you could also climb down onto this and just jump on. I don't know if that would be consistent, but if you could get that to work, that could also be... Yeah, like that, just by holding A after you jump. And then for this part, you can climb onto it like this, if I can get it. This is quite an inconsistent climb, so I don't really recommend you do it, but if you don't like the jump, you can climb onto it like this, kind of shift block, kind of this angle, and then jump up aiming for the corner. Or you can do what I do, which is just like going down and kind of turning a bit further than you usually would to avoid hitting my head. And then you can just jump straight up, and either one works. For this part, you want to align... If you go all the way back on this, and your cursor kind of follows the kind of line of the corner, then you're good to just hold... You kind of just like hold W and A and jump, and you will make it in. That's basically how I do it. That's like my setup for that. And then this one I would recommend you climb on because this is quite consistent. So you climb here. I guess, no, you can't align for this. Just shift lock like that and then jump out. Kind of going for the climb on the top, I guess, if you know what I mean. But yeah, just get the climb on this and then go. Because if you do this without climbing, it's much harder to set up after coming out of this. Because sometimes you can just hit your head on the ball. So for this part, you can jump kind of... You don't have to go all the way out. You don't really have to do like this. It's not really worth losing your run over that. You can kind of like climb up the top if you just like jump towards the center. Basically, the further out you go, you have more chance of landing it, but it becomes much more dangerous. And then you jump up here. You can either go round with the ball just by letting go and tapping W, and then jump off here. Or you can do another funny skip, which is just get to the top of this, and then do the same high jump strat that you did for the jump on 9. And you can... You saw me do it then. You can climb... There's like a specific part of the ball that you can climb on. I think it's around here. And that just lets you skip that part. So now we're moving on to the final stretch. You can hit this with T-pose if you want, or if you really wanted to. I think I've seen somebody do this. I'm pretty sure you can just skip. There's no point. Like, there is no point whatsoever, but I think you can just, like, do a really hard head hitter and just skip that. But yeah, just do that. For this part, this is where most people will fail stupidly because they don't really understand how this X pusher works. So if you see I'm landing... So I'm in it right now, that's fine. But if I kind of... I'm going to see if I can get this. This is going to be hard to get, but like... Yeah, like that. That was it. So I kind of jump, yeah, at an angle like that. And it kind of... I'm naturally stopping because I don't like failing the final stretch because I'm just used to... But yeah, like this, and then they'll kind of walk off and just not realize that they were, like, elevated. So you can kind of... You can just stand here, and then you can just go. And then jump off of this, jump off, like that. This jump is where most final stretch runs end. Which is quite sad, considering it's the first jump. Most people like to align their cursor with the bottom of this stud, the 4th stud, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then kind of, like, go for it like that. But, like, you can also, like, you can go back to, like, you can line your cursor up with the top of the 5th stud, and that also works as long as your angling is right. Because I'm stupid, I never line this up, so I just do this. I kind of go halfway mentally. Like, I go where I think halfway roughly is, and I just jump, and it always works. But it's just a lineup. Just, like, don't turn fully straight, or you'll hit your head like that, and you won't make it. You kind of have to angle a bit, like this. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to do it. And for this part, so what you're meant to do is go to this and jump out onto this one. But I don't like that strategy at all. I think that's stupid. So what most people do is go from the second one, which is better. But what I do, and what I recommend you do, is just do a 2-stud stick out like this. And jump onto this like that, because it's much more consistent in my opinion. Just walk onto it like this. And here we have the part where people call RNG. So it's not RNG. You're not going out far enough. You're going out too far. So this is fine. You can jump off of this one normally. You can climb. Well, I used to climb them like this, so that like I went exactly on. But yeah, you can also do this in like shift block. That also works. Make sure you tap A or D before you go down on these. Otherwise, there's a chance that you'll be too far in them. That, like, it puts you into climbing, like, too far into it. And you'll kind of, like, slip off when you go down. But yeah, basically you tap A or D, and then you go down by 2. Go down by 2 taps, so it's like tap, tap. And then you can jump off onto this one. That's fine. And then kind of line yourself up with the truss. You can turn to go out of this. Once again, press A. Make sure you're lined up. Go down by 2. Jump onto the truss. You can either hold here or just flick around it. Either one works. Just make sure you hold here at the very end no matter what, because if you're flicking around it, like, it's the same thing as earlier. You can be put too far into the truss and you'll walk off of this bit on the bottom when you're trying to set it up. So just hold space or T-pose here, either one works. Go to the bottom and just hold D and jump off. That's really all there is to it. You just go to the bottom, hold D and jump off. For this 2-stud stick out, I like to flick a bit and then go for it. So it's like you line up with like the center of the thing, and then you like flick out a bit and then you go. You can also just do it straight away, or you can go down a bit as well and then do it more like a tilted angle jump like this, which also works. It's just making sure you know which one you're comfortable with and going for it. Aim for the... Because it's a half stud, I like to aim for like the direct corner and then kind of turn back into it when I make it. It's like this. And then just hold space here, stop holding space at the end, then kind of push yourself out onto the edge of the half stud so that you know you're not going to walk off. Tilt the camera a bit, and then jump to this. Oh, don't do what I did. Don't hold W on that entire thing, or you'll slide off like that. So yeah, just like get here, tilt out, and then jump. Don't hold W on this entire thing, or you might slide off. Just hold W, like let go of W a bit when you're going. It's like that. That's fine. That's good. And then for this part, you can either jump straight to this one by some weird angle jump stupid thing. I don't know. And then like jump across and then jump to the low speed section. Or you can just skip that and do a much easier, in my opinion, jump and just go straight to this one. I also do know of... I'm pretty sure you can... Yeah, you can skip this ice section if you really want to. But I don't think it's worth it because you... Like, you can speed glitch it if you want and just, like, do that. But I don't think that's worth it at all. I think you should just, like, kind of jump out like this onto the ice or do it the other way. Either one works. And then kind of, like, hold A and, like, jump off onto the ice. You're not going to hit your head there if you do it right, don't worry. And then this is the scary jump. You kind of want to go down onto the wedge and then hold D, jump, and then start holding A just in case. So you kind of like go onto the wedge and then do that. It's much easier to do in first person because you can see what's going on the camera because that truss likes to block you. Jump onto the truss, go down to the bottom, so I'm around here, and then just kind of you can flick off or you can shift flick off. So I'm going down. Like this is fine. If you want an exact lineup, I guess if you face your camera all the way down, kind of make it so that like your cursor is like in the middle of this stud, and then you should be good to just flick off like that, or just flick off normally and then flick to the right a bit so that you can get up. And for this jump I like to go in the middle of this stud, turn so that my cursor is in the middle of this stud. No, sorry, I put myself on the edge of this stud, right, and then I go to the other side of the stud, and then I jump off like that. Let me get the jump so I can show you exactly how that works with the low jump. But that is a much more consistent strategy that I basically use for every long truss jump. So you kind of make sure you're aligned like this. Make sure, just hold W a bit so that you don't get a weird angle. Tilt so that you're at the edge of the stud, and then jump off and shift block. You can also, there are other ways to do that, and I'll show you those other ways now. Some people like to walk around and then like go down a tiny bit and then flick off normally. That also works because going down gives you a bit more distance, but I don't find that to be the most consistent. And then other people like to turn like this and just shift block while holding W and D. But yeah, that's basically how that jump works, and that's basically everything there is in Bloodthirsty Kenos. Just make sure you practice One thing I will say is make sure you practice this final stretch a lot, because I failed it 7 times, and as a first extreme, that's not really fun to keep. Like, I think I failed the first jump around 3 times. But I got it in the end, and you will as well. You just need to practice it a lot. Obviously, these are ouch bricks, I should have mentioned. Just jump across them and you'll be fine. Unless you die. But, yeah, that's basically everything there is for this tower. Obviously, not many recovery skips, but the ones that are there are really nice. Especially the one on the end of 4, which I highly recommend you do. Let me just show you once again, just in case. You just go to here and then hold S and jump up and you'll make it. But yeah, that's basically it for this guide. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe so that I know that these are videos that people like, and leave a comment letting me know which guide you would like to see next. Obviously, this series is inspired by Lucy's series where she goes through towers, SCs, and does guides of her own. So yeah, that's basically it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.